Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Chris and today we're creating an iPad case. It's a bit different than the usual ones. It's quite nice and shiny. This leather is called English bridle and it's quite pristine and expensive, but it's fun to work with. You will see it in a project in a few minutes time. It's also quite rugged leather and it's quite waterproof. It's really good leather for some projects. I like this because it's minimalistic style and I made padding inside. The pocket for iPad is padded with felt. So if you want to make one yourself, I will include the pattern. Look at this shine, it's something else. It's amazing. If you want to make it yourself, buy me a coffee shop. There is pattern which will cost you about the same price as a cup of coffee. So join me in this journey and I hope you enjoy it. See you in a bit. First thing we need to do, we need to stick the pattern all together and then we can place it on another and start cutting out. I like to put all the parts on a ladder and check if they fit into piece which I want to cut out. It's quite expensive leather, so I want to minimalize the waste. At the moment, as you can clearly see, this leather, it doesn't look like anything like finished product, which I presented just a minute ago. It's because it's full of tallow wax, and when it lays down somewhere away, it looks like it has a bit of a residue on top. But that residue is quite easy to get rid of. I'll show you later on how. I'll start from cutting out small pocket, but I don't show you all the cutouts because it's too much time. You're probably wondering right now what's the cost of making bag like this from such expensive leather. The leather itself cost me about £60. When you add extras like lock and all the materials I use and all the chemical I use as well to preserve the leather, you're looking about £70–80 just for the materials. Then we go to labor cost. Let's say minimum wage in the UK is about £12 right now, and if you charge minimum wage for like 5–6 hours of work, you're looking at about extra £70 on top on the bag. So we're going already to £150 for a case for a tablet or an iPad. But with skill like this, would you charge people minimum wage? So buying from small businesses like myself, you need to expect a bit bigger price tag because it is expensive to create stuff like this. And if you are a creator, you exactly know what I mean. Never mind, let's go back to the project. When I have the pattern on the leather, I usually mark all the endings of the stitching lines by using scratch awl. This leather is vegetable leather, so it's a bit stiff and it's been rolled on my shelf for quite a while, so I need to straighten it a little by rolling it the other way. First thing, after stretching it back to flat shape, I use scratch awl to mark the stitching line for a pocket, and I use compass tool to mark the sides. Let's work on the sides. I use a straight ruler with little bit of grip tape underneath so it doesn't shift when I cut it out. It's quite a good idea to use it. Then we're gonna mark all the rest with stitching awl and we can cut it freely without having the pattern on top of the leather. The only thing is with grip tape, you need to be careful to don't move the ruler on top of the leather because you can scratch it a little. But you can also do it, cut it on a flash site. For the corner on this project, I use a rotary cutter to cut the corner out. Just need to do it a couple times and look how nice it came out. And the last thing we need to cut out is the pocket for the tablet. And for that I use combination of rotary cutter and utility knife because I don't want to lose any material. As you know, it's very expensive. I also forgot to mention that besides material is expensive, the mistakes are even more expensive sometimes. I zoom this footage in so you can see how I mark the stitching lines and the holes and where the pockets should be, and little marks for the cutout as well. I unnecessarily mark those stitching lines because I'm gonna use stitching machine for the pocket only. All the rest will be hand stitched. The corners I cut out on this case are slightly different than the one in the pattern. I went a bit risky and go straight for expensive leather, and I prototyped it on it. But fortunately I didn't do any bigger mistakes, and the back came out beautifully. I didn't mark the stitching lines for a pocket, I only mark it where I need to stick it on because I'm gonna use sewing machine for this one. The small pocket and the side panels are slightly thinner. I thinned the leather down to 1.5 millimeters because they don't need to be that stiff. After splitting leather, I use a knife to remove the little fluff on the bottom and use beveler to bevel the edges. Sorry, some things will be less understandable as I got a little cold. The top of the pocket I bevel from both sides because it's exposed and it's better to have it beveled on the both sides. And as usual I use marker pen with Tokonol inside to smooth the edges. I'll show you in a minute how the edge came out, and on this leather it comes out beautifully with only minimum effort. Very important info about this leather. This white stuff on top, it's a wax which comes out from a leather. And if you want to get rid of it, just wipe it in or use hair dryer to warm it up. Let's glue the pocket and we can start stitching. I don't usually use machine, but for this one I used it because I'm making it for myself and I already spent much time on this project, so I just decide that I'm gonna shorten it a little. After I finish stitching, I use bone creaser to make the pockets a bit more accessible, but in the pattern they will be slightly wider because I find it quite hard to take the pen out from the pocket. It's probably just only my OCD, but when I do a new project like this, I count every hole. If I hand stitch, obviously, I count every hole which I make in every single piece. so it's aligned perfectly, and then I can make proper alignments on the pattern and see where the lines is finished. I'll quickly record that process so you can see it yourself. It's best to start with side panels, and then if you know how many holes you got on the side, this is how many holes you need to make in the main piece. The best practice is to make a quick note how many holes you did. Then you will know when to finish. And it's also good for practicing your design skills as well. Because you see how I make stuff before I put it on the paper. Then you can design stuff yourself as well. Last few steps before we start stitching. I'm gonna skive the edges on the pocket. If you don't have belt skiver, you just can just use thinner leather for the pocket. Right, let's continue. We're gonna now attach a felt to a tablet pocket. I use natural felt without any dyes in it, and to attach it to the leather I use Fibbing's leather cement. The felt is drying, so we might start punching the holes. As usual, I'm using my presses because it's silent. And if you're working at home, it's good to be quiet. Like I said before, I start from side panel, then I go to main piece. Sometimes I even double check how many holes I did, just in case. If you got issues with your iron going on the angle and you want to fix that, use single layer and then glue them together. It's a bit longer, but you won't have any issues with wonky stitching lines. If you sometimes wonder how I do bigger pieces on the presses, this is how I do it. I fold it up a little on the side. It's good to have quite tall press for that. You'll fit anything in there. Maybe not massive project. You will have to use mallet on those. But I even create duffel bag using presses without any issues. Let's quickly form that pocket so after we stitch it, the tablet or iPad goes freely. This project is for 11-inch iPad. You can fit something smaller in that. I think you will be able to fit something slightly bigger, but obviously check the measurement before you buy the pattern. I stitch off bottom of the pocket of the camera, and now just quickly gonna do that edge before we're gonna start stitching further. Second thing we're gonna stitch is the side panels. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna measure 5 times thread because we're going through 3 layers at some point, so it's better off to have a little bit of a spare thread. And as usual, I use saddle stitch technique to stitch that. Important thing, when you count the holes on the side panel, for example, if it's 50, on the main piece, make it 51, so one thread is overlapping, and when you start stitching, start from a third hole on the side panel and on the fourth hole of the main piece. Right, so we got one side stitched, nearly. We got the last couple threads going through, and we can do the other side. After we're gonna do the other side, I'm gonna show you how to finish all the edges and how to put the lock inside. So as you can see, I overlapped only the back panel where the tablet pocket is, not the front. Front is not overlapping because it's unpractical. And time to cut the corners and finish the edges. After that, we're gonna fit the lock and the bag will be ready to go. I use creaser number 1, so I take only slightly bit of material off. On the flap, I crease it from both sides. Because the leather is bent a little when you stitch it together, it doesn't align perfectly on the edge. So it's good to use a utility knife to run it through and make it more even together. Then I use about 100 grit sandpaper on a sanding block and run it through so it's nice and even. There is also a little bit of a felt sticking out, but we get rid of it by using this technique. After we sand everything, I use Tokonol in marker pen. I use 2 parts of Tokonol and 1 part of water to dilute it slightly, and it works better in a marker. If you want to get the same marker for the Tokonol, I put link in video description for it. Let's fit the lock. First thing, I need to find the middle. Obviously you're gonna have it marked in a pattern, so you don't need to worry about that. We're gonna use a locking mechanism, which is quite minimalistic and it's also quite good. It's quite interesting as well because they mainly use it on a guitar strap. I'll put affiliate link in the video description. I use 9mm hole puncher for it. If you're planning to buy one of those, remember to get the special screwdriver for it. It costs only about 50 pence. If you're fitting same lock, I'll mark everything on a pattern, so I recommend to fit it before you actually stitch the back together. It's not most difficult lock to fit even on the assembled bag, but it's way easier if you do it when the bag is unassembled. Like you can see, I need to fit the metal block inside to protect it, and then I use punching block to punch the hole. It's not ideal because you can still damage the parts inside. This lock has a thread around it, so you need to kind of screw it in through the leather and catch it with a special washer from the outside, which is threaded as well, and screw it in with a special screwdriver. So we're nearly done. I'm applying neatsfoot oil for it, and let me show you how it came out. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching and hopefully see you in the next one.